This is a JTP audio podcast.
Sometimes talking with friends feels like role-playing. Sometimes it feels like combat. Join us at the round table and roll initiative. This is Curmudgeons and Dragons.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Curmudgeons and Dragons. This is a different voice than you're used to hearing.
Right?
This is, yeah, it's weird.
I've heard it before.
I'm in the driver's seat. I like it.
I'm riding shotgun.
Yeah, so I am Jack O'Connell. I'm leading off this one, and with me I have Jason.
Oh, hey, what's going on?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
I'm not used to answering that question.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's, sometimes they never ask, how are you? How are you?
Doing good, man.
Okay, that's good.
I'm gonna enjoy this one in the passenger seat. I'm gonna take a little nap during the episode, and when it's time to make the next turn, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let you know when we make a rest stop.
I'll have snacks ready for you.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Good.
That's the real alpha right there.
And then I have, speaking of, I got little Josey over there.
It's me, small and angry.
Small and angry.
As always.
Yeah, so this is a different thing for us. So we're just kind of switching up leads on the episode. And I want to do an episode of just kind of, meet and greet for a while. And so Jason's let me take the reins. And we're going to find out a little bit about ourselves today. Just kind of introduce who we are as people and how we got into Dungeons and Dragons and kind of our video and gaming backgrounds and personalities and things like that. Just a nice quick little intro to the boys.
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit in episode 1, but we are now 12 episodes in.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
This
Go us.
10, 11. Yeah, this will be episode 12.
Yeah, 1, 2.
And,
bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, I like this. I like when podcasts that I listen to a lot when you get a little behind the scenes and you get a little introspective.
A little sneak preview.
Yeah, a little off the cuff action. So my vision was to start this out by just kind of, getting general background on people. But I mean, the question in everyone's mind is, we'll start with Jason, is just like, how did you get into D&D? Like, there's a lot of steps to it, but this is a D&D podcast. We'll start off heavy. How did you get to D&D?
The road to D&D for me had a lot of nerdy stops on the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can tell from me on the show, and that sounds like sarcastic, but I actually am not sure how I come off on the show. I'm relatively new to the game. I've not completed the campaign.
Yeah, you've not played for very long.
You and I did a campaign once back in January. We're recording this in July.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the middle of a campaign now. And I played a little bit in middle school, but we super didn't play right. And there was no campaign to see to fruition. It was a couple I guess you can call them one-shots, but they were really bad. A bunch of middle schools running each other as, very inmates running the asylum thing.
I love it when the inmates are running the asylum.
Yeah.
You get so much more freedom.
Yeah.
So technically my D&D goes back to middle school, but with that, I don't even count that. At the same time in middle school, I learned how to play Magic the Gathering. And that was a little more my style. I understood cards from a strategic point of view better than I liked how dice worked. And we can get into the statistics of both and why I like one over the other, but that's a little too nerdy for you for how much I want to.
That's a lot, yeah.
That's a little more nerdy than I want to let you guys into myself. But Magic the Gathering got me into. I played through most of high school. I quit for a while. I picked up again in college, and then met a very competitive group and got into the competitive Magic scene, which then led to me being a DCI judge. And I was actually running tournaments and scorekeeping tournaments. Probably the biggest thing I did was I score kept what was at the time the largest North American tournament. I was a scorekeeper, so over 1,000 match result slips are coming at
What a nerd.
At the end of every round, and I was one putting in everything, printing out. If something goes wrong, then things can go very, very wrong. So it's my job to make sure nothing went wrong.
Yeah.
Flash forward to me being an audio engineer at concerts, and very little has changed.
Nice.
So being a DCI judge and being a vintage player, we traveled over about half the country and into Canada, and did a lot of stuff with Magic the Gathering. And I quit Magic in 2010, 11, somewhere around there.
Probably smart.
Sold off a lot of my collection. And that is what got me enough money to start up my recording studio. I've got a music background. Bought the studio, ran that for a couple of years, enjoyed it. I'll give you the 10-second version of that, where we closed the studio and I got into live sound. Live sound got me into concerts. Concerts went away. And in 2020 for
just a little thing,
just for some weird obscure thing that was going on.
So I couldn't really do.
Who knows what happened?
I'm good at one thing, and it's running concerts, and I couldn't do concerts for 16 months.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Imagine being good at one thing, and you're not allowed to make money doing it for 16 months.
I'm just good at so many things.
Oh my God, I'm literally good at one thing. So, audio is my entire life, and it's the only thing I truly, truly enjoy as far as something like a marketable skill that makes me happy. So I podcasted a little bit when I had the recording studio. That was a show called Ugly Door Sessions, which is named as the studio Ugly Door, where we interviewed local musicians and talked about their projects and had them play live on the show. It was a ton of fun. But then the studio closed and I didn't really have a place to do it anymore. So during lockdown in 2020, I got into podcasting again. We picked up a lot of the gear that I used to have and sold off. I actually still have some of these microphones, at least one of these microphones I've had for several years. And
this one smells pretty funny.
Yeah, it could be that one.
Yeah.
Could be that one.
Probably this one.
This one smells fine.
And I picked it right back up again, and I forgot how much I love podcasting. It's just a ton of fun. First podcast we did was Good One Keith. That was a show where we talked about our friend Keith Baird, which we hopefully will be bringing that back pretty soon. That led us to Flight in a Pint, which is how I met you, Jack.
That's how we met.
That was a show about going to breweries and talking about beer and things like that.
I have one of those.
We did an episode at your brewery.
We did. It was fun. We had a good time.
And then we realized you're a huge D&D nerd.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
we talked way less about beer than we did about like Warcraft and D&D and board games and yeah.
And now also during lockdown, a couple months before that episode, one of our friends, Joe, who I don't think that podcast is actually going to be released, but we were trying to do an actual play podcast, which I think is going to get merged into this show. So we may have Joe on the show at some point.
Yeah, I like Joe.
Super nice guy. And he's DMing our campaign right now.
Good old Joe.
He was DMing a campaign for us all through Zoom and Roll20 and things like that with probably 2 big group. It was kind of a thing for like our friends' kids to get involved in. He's got he was 14 at the time. He's got a 15-year-old son who is the one who dragged us all back into the game because the game is massive with teenagers right now.
Yeah.
So
I think that's from Stranger Things, right?
Stranger Things helped a lot, but even before that,
people were getting back into it a lot. People being like, "Hey, like this is a fun."
Or it's nerd culture is like cool now. I remember, and it sucked because I was always on like the tail end of things that were like cool, like I'm going to graduate high school and like now it's cool to be a nerd. And I was like, God damn it. Yeah. Like crap.
That's exactly the point I was going to bring up. So I was talking with the gaming store owner. And here's another really nerdy sentence. I drove up to Rhode Island to play a Pokemon Go tournament.
Ooh, yeah. That's a tough one to hear out loud. That's a tough one to hear out loud. I'm not going to lie to you on that one.
Nonsense. Pokemon Go is all about going places.
True.
That makes sense.
I'd say right now, summer of 2019, or what was it? No, it was longer than that, like 2018 or 2019, whatever that summer that Pokemon Go 2016. Came out. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
5-year anniversary. This past week was a 5-year anniversary.
Every bone in my body just hurt.
I was a junior in college when they announced it as a game that it was coming up.
Still a junior in college.
I'm actually going to be a freshman in college.
First, like,
That's where you went backwards.
That first week and month of that game coming out was the closest we're ever going to get to world peace.
Oh, it was beautiful.
What an amazing time.
It was beautiful. I was skinny. I was just about as tan as I am now.
There were so many people being like, yo, we should dress up as Officer Jenny and just hang out at the Pokestops to make sure that like younger kids that are playing are safe.
I still play the game every day. It's just something to do. It's not anything like it was before, but there's still a lot to do in that game. It makes me happy.
Well, I have kids that I babysit that play it. So they like,
get them outside. Get them outside.
They're always like, yo, like I sent you a gift, like send me, open it, send me one back. And then like when I moved to England, the one kid, Taylor, was like, do you promise to send me the like region specific Pokemon? I was like, of course.
You better.
Oh, you're going to England. Oh my God, you got to come back and bring me shit. I'll give you a list. I'll give you a list.
Listen,
you got chores.
Come and visit me. I love throwing a house party.
I need mine juniors.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, my cousin's kid plays. I'm friends with her.
I was gonna say, like, I was like, oh, I can bring you like tonics.
Anyway, so I'm up in Rhode Island, and
the
game store that we're playing at. I'm talking to the owners because I love talking with people who, especially like small local shops, whether it's a brewery or a game store or anything like that. I love talking with the owners because obviously they're passionate about that thing. And if I took the time to go to this thing, and I drove 4 hours to get to this.
Yeah, you better talk to someone.
And if he's passionate about games, I'm passionate about games. I want to talk about games, so I want to talk about board games. I got massive into board games over the past close to 10 years now. My collection is over 120 games.
God bless.
I love hosting board game nights. I love introducing people to games they've never heard of before. I love asking people questions like, what games did you grow up playing? What games do you like? And I'll find them something new that takes the things that they like about the games that they already like and improves on that. And now they have a new favorite game.
I like playing Monopoly. You got any suggestions for that?
Yes. First, throw it in the trash.
Monopoly. Yeah, it's a terrible game.
My suggestion is throw Monopoly in the trash. It's a bad game.
I have 2 board games. I have Steven Universe Monopoly and I have Supernatural Clue. And those are the only 2 board games that I own.
Also throwing this out there, we're looking for other applicants for the podcast. We're trying to get rid of Josey.
So it's got to be somebody with a can-do attitude.
So without turning this into a board gaming podcast, which I do eventually want to start, but I could talk all day about games. But without turning this into a board game thing, if you like Monopoly, try Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite Monopoly adjacent game. And if you like, what was
I
it,
was just
Clue?
being a schmuck because nobody likes Monopoly.
No one does because it's a bad game.
No,
It's
I don't know
bad.
why I bought it because every time I play it, I get angry.
It's everyone gets angry. Well, you're always angry.
So,
Nuh-uh.
okay, if you like Monopoly, try Ticket to Ride. And if you like Clue,
Just keep playing Clue.
it's hard to find a copy of it because it's out of print, but this game called Mystery of the Abbey,
Okay.
which was a ton of fun. But yeah, there's a lot of games like that. You can do any really like social deduction game like Werewolves of Miller's Hollow, One Night Werewolf. If you like Clue, try One Night Werewolf. I think it's a really easy one to pick up. But again,
I think
this
my mom
isn't
likes
this isn't a gaming
Scrabble.
podcast.
Who doesn't like Scrabble?
Scrabble, you
People
can
that
play.
can't spell.
Me. I can't spell. I'm not good at it.
There's a game called Stinker that uses games tiles kind of like Scrabble.
Oh my God, there's so many Scrabble
It's
variants.
a little Scrabble and a little Cards Against Humanity at the same time.
Oh,
You have to
okay.
you use your tiles to answer the questions.
Okay.
Excellent game. But again, this is not a board game podcast.
No,
But
we
I mean,
just get
it
too
is-
excited.
It is now.
it is now, I guess. But where was I going with this?
The whole how you play D&D thing.
So yeah, board gaming got me into general tabletop gaming, which so being making friends with gaming store owners. He was the one who was telling me about how just the game just kind of came back almost out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
then Stranger Things just launched it into the stratosphere that it's in now.
Yeah, everyone plays it now. It's wild. I mean, you like seeing it, but you also it's a much more like dense market, I guess. Like you get a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I want to play this because of Stranger Things," and then they play it once. They're like, "I don't know if
this
I want to
isn't-
play this anymore."
They're like, this isn't Stranger Things at all. It's like, well, no, like that was only a.
But that's good because then you get people who want to try it, and that's
Yeah,
that's
it's
important.
that's the better part about it.
And if they try it and it's not for them, then it's not for them. But if they like would not have tried it, it's going to stick with some people.
Yeah.
And of course, you get the bad things with that. You get the murder hobos. You get the edgelords. And you
edgelords,
get,
Yeah, but if you've got
you
a
get a
whole
lot of
party of
those.
murder hobos, then it's a good time.
You want to run an evil campaign, that's fine.
Yeah.
But also, this is at the same time that that Races of Ravnica was coming out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And me being a Magic player, I'm like, oh, they like Ravnica. Like Magic is not a game that's about lore.
No, it's not.
There was a lot of lore in the game, but it didn't really matter to
I mean,
the game.
they put in the Walking Dead characters in Magic, so I don't think it's super lore heavy.
Yeah, and to
Well,
build the Theros campaign, like almost all of the deities from the Theros campaign are just Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah.
Like Keranos.
So Magic does have a lot of lore to it, but it doesn't affect the actual game, and that's the disconnect there.
Yeah.
Where D&D is all about lore and how it affects the game. So me being a Magic player, and I loved the lore of Ravnica. There was with all the 10 different guilds and just a really cool stuff there, and it made a lot of sense. And it was just a really cool one to base it on. So that got me interested, and then it wasn't until my friend's 15-year-old kid dragged us into a campaign.
So I'll tell you, Magic
That
the
we-
Gathering and a 15-year-old kid.
That we finally got one going, and I'm in a pretty fun campaign right now. I'm playing playing a ranger because I know rangers are supposed to be bad, and I want to see how bad they could be.
Yeah, they're pretty
And
bad.
so far, my ranger is destroying things, and I don't see why people dislike rangers.
They can get real broken real quick.
That's the story up till now.
All right. What about you, kiddo? How'd you dance your way in a little D&D?
So I started off in 2000 when I was in kindergarten. All of the cool kids were playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean, the coolest kids played Yu-Gi-Oh.
The coolest kids played Yu-Gi-Oh! And I would sit, there was like this little cement block with a circle painted in it on the playground that all of the kids that played Yu-Gi-Oh! Would go and hang out at. They would watch people like duel. And then
I think you mean duel.
well, we got in trouble for gambling
Oh.
because you would bet a card, and if you lost, you'd lose that card, and kids would go crying.
Playing for pink slips.
You know, shit like that. But like,
And so in Magic the Gathering, the very early rules, like when the game first came out before cards were worth anything, ante was part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put cards up on deck.
You
to see
flip
what-
up your top card, and that was up. The winner got to keep those cards.
Yeah, and it could be real bad sometimes.
There was like 2 or 3 cards that involved ante that were obviously banned from tournaments because there's no antes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're fine. So I got into playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I actually still have all of my original Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards in my new house. They're in a bag in my new house.
You have any blue eyes white dragon?
I do have a blue eyes white dragon. I have a red eyes black dragon. I think I actually have a Japanese obelisk the Tormentor, which you're not allowed to use in tournaments and things. But
You know us. We know all about Yu-Gi-Oh rules.
yeah, we know all about Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules. But
Mhm.
like, it was simpler for my tiny little kindergarten brain than Magic the Gathering. And like, Pokemon cards weren't as big at my school as Pokemon games were.
I tell you
So,
what,
like-
Pokemon cards we've collected. Not a lot of people played the actual TCG of it.
No, nobody ever did.
The game is pretty big now. Actually, it got a huge resurgence, probably because of Go. And the first cards involving Go characters are starting to get released now.
Okay.
that's
It's actually
cool.
hard to get your hands on any Pokemon TCG cards. Stores are selling out. The supply chain is fucked.
Yeah, I screwed the pooch. I gave all of my Pokemon cards to my neighbor when we were younger because he was starting to get into it and I'd grown out of it. But I think I said in the first episode that when I was growing up, my parents wouldn't get me a console because they were like, "You're never going to leave the house if you have a video game console." But
Probably
then they got me a computer.
Maybe worse.
And
Yeah,
I would play like Carmen Sandiego's Think Quick Challenge. I played a lot of like smart games, like puzzle games and things.
Mhm.
And then I discovered the beauties of the internet.
It's something.
Porn.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, my discovery of porn was very shocking. I was just trying to find Pokemon stuff and it was something misty and I was
Yeah,
like, I'll click that.
Did you find
And I clicked it.
Pokemon?
Yeah, nice,
Yeah,
dude.
finding your mom.
Pokemon?
Yeah.
And it was just like all these stills of porn and then my
Yeah.
computer froze and I was like,
Oh, no.
I'm going to get murdered. My parents are going to come downstairs and be like,
do?
what are you looking at?
Yeah.
Like, it was an accident. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again.
And you always did it again.
Yeah, well, they don't need to know that. But, like I got into video games first and I would play a lot of single player stuff. Like I've said, I played RuneScape. I played Skyrim a lot. Love the Elder Scrolls. Did a lot of like Gaia Online things.
Well,
Not
shout out real
really.
quick, my good friend Leanne Cruz, who worked on the art team for Skyrim.
Oh my God, that's right.
Went to high school with her. Very good friend.
My one of my mom's coworkers, she's a nurse. Her coworker's daughter was one of the people that did all of the dragon animations for Skyrim. So, madam, if you're out there and you're listening to this for whatever reason, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Just a gem.
But I didn't really actually get into D&D until college, where somebody explained it to me as it's just like Skyrim, except instead of all of your stats being in a menu somewhere that you have to click to find, they're on a piece of paper in front of you.
Yeah, it's way easier.
And instead of pressing buttons, you just say what you want to do. And I was like, okay, that sounds easy enough. Like, I can do that. I started a campaign in college. I made my elf bard. And it was a horrible campaign. Not because of the people that I was playing with, but specifically because it was in Westchester, Pennsylvania, which was an 1.5-hour drive for me. And I was the person that was the furthest away. So we would all get to the house and then we would get a text message from the DM being like, I'm not going to come today. Can't make it today.
Awesome.
And I was like, that's cool, Brian. Then you can pay for my gas.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Because I drove
you, Brian.
all the way out here before you decided to tell anybody that you weren't going to be able to make it.
Right.
So we did that for a while. And then I just like gave up on that campaign. And then I had a friend at work when I worked at Barnes & Noble. Their name is Kim. Kim said, hey, like, I have a D&D campaign. We need somebody to fill in. Like, do you want to fill in? And I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And they had thought that I was just going to, like, play the other person's player character. But I showed up and I was like, I have this character that I haven't played in, like, a couple years. That's, like, level 3 right now. So, like, it's about the same as all of you guys' characters. And they were like, that's awesome. And that was my first, like, college was my first D&D experience. It was bad. And then I graduated college. I got a job and I made friends in a bookstore that I was surrounded by D&D stuff anyway. And I found all of the local nerds and I played with them for like about 1.5 years.
Nice.
So I actually haven't played too many D&D sessions. I've not been a part of too many campaigns, but I am going back to school for creative writing and criminology, which is kind of where I thrive in D&D, is like the storytelling. I'm like
character building stuff.
Character building stuff. The role play stuff is the fun stuff for me because, like,
Everyone loves
again,
role play.
if I want to be a murder hobo, I'm just going to go be a sneak thief in Skyrim and work for the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild. Like, it's so easy to just do that on your own. If you want to do collaborative things with other people, you just can't kill every NPC you see.
Yeah, that's right.
Also, between creative writing and criminology, it sounds like you're just trying to be a podcaster.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, don't tell anybody.
Which, let's see, we need
It's
a producer. I'll help you out.
I got you, fam. But like, I love writing stories, and actually a really fun way to write stories is to use like 5E to build your story. Like you build character sheets for each of your characters, so you don't have them do things that would be out of character for them. And if you're building fight scenes and stuff and you don't want it to be like overpowered one way or the other, you roll to see what happens. Like there are so many ways that you can use D&D as character and story building for things that are not D&D. And that's something that I really like in it.
Yeah, it's creative.
I like the lore. And that's part of like being a bard that fights with the DM all the time is about knowing what it says in the handbook. So you can be like, technically I can do that.
My favorite type of player.
Yes. Bard yells at God, more at 11.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like, that's, most of my characters are a little bit like me, where they're like a little unpredictable, and I won't necessarily do things that will aid in the goal of the mission, but will aid in a good story.
That's probably better.
Which it aggravates a lot of people, to be fair.
But you aggravate a lot of people?
I know, right?
Go on.
Me, the tiny Angie,
Go on.
upsetting other people. It's crazy.
Fake news.
But like, somebody's like, hey, don't kill this character. And I go, hey, I'm going to kill this guy. Is that okay with everyone? And nobody else says anything.
Character's dead.
That character's dead. And when everybody throws a fit at me for it out of character afterwards, I can just be like, hey, guess what? I gave everyone an opportunity to be like, hey, maybe don't do that. We need that person alive. So like, it was counterintuitive to the goal of the party. But then we had to go and find a new way to get the information that we needed, which made it a little bit more fun for everybody because they had to like go and investigate. We had to go follow leads and things. I just like to be the embodiment of chaos in everything that I do.
That checks.
Nice little chaotic neutral.
I'm just here. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I like storytelling and I like hanging out with friends and eating snacks, which is what a lot of D&D is.
D&D is.
Yeah, just hanging out, telling stories and eating snacks. Yeah, essentially.
Jack, how did you become a forever DM?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So I've only ever played in probably 2 or 3 campaigns, but I've been playing D&D for, what am I, 30 now? Yeah, I'm 30. I'm old. I'm an old man.
Yep. You're basically dead.
I've been playing for just probably about 15 years now. I started basically in the beginning of high school. And some people call me a character. That was what was usually on the slips that they'd send home to my parents. Like, Jack's been a real character today. We need to talk to you. That's usually what was sent home. So I'd be like, oh yeah, I am a character. You're right. And
people pay to see characters.
Yeah, they do. That's right. A character actor. And I never really like played much. I always would rather tell the story and the same way in you put me in like a chem group. I'm very much, I know this about myself that I like to be a little controlling and I'm aware of that. So DM is perfect because I can tell a story and be controlling. It's really good. Not too controlling where you basically are ruining a session for somebody, but controlling enough that you can guide it. So you don't want to railroad too much. But I've only ever really played 2 sessions and I got into DMing in high school just because, again, I like storytelling and, I was in like kind of theater programs and things like that. And it just kind of like caught on very quickly. But I think the thing that really brought me into D&D was probably like the fact that I played Warcraft. I like the idea of RPGs and building worlds, and Warcraft was always like one of my favorite, games. And I started playing WoW when I was really in its inception. I played like beta and alpha, and that's kind of what got me into like these like big, like role playing video games. Because originally it was like a lot of I had like an SNES, but it was like NBA 90 or like Star Fox and stuff like that. And I was more into I like traveling the world and flying on a griffin and doing all this stuff. And I just kind of kept with that. And then I was like, oh, I could do this. I could build a world. I could tell a story. I could make characters. So we get a couple friends together and I would just start being like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you fought a dragon, but the dragon had 2 heads and 12 arms. And it's just it's you just build stuff out. So I just kept DMing and DMing and DMing. And the more I stayed and played with people, the more they knew me as a DM. So it was forever the bridesmaid, never the bride.
It's always better in the end.
Yeah, but I actually enjoy DMing a lot more than playing because I do, some of my favorite stuff is world building and character arcs and, voices and things like that. So whenever we have the DM stories, I'm always like, oh, it's always blame the DM, but I guess I am really kind of a forever DM and stuff.
Well, you're the forever DM, but also you're the head bitch in charge, so your word is final.
Damn straight.
Yeah. But the thing is, you're a good DM. So when shenanigans start to arise, you can put a stop to it before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stories that we bring to the table are
the DM just doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah, they're just uncontrolled shenanigans.
Yeah. And that's fair.
Or a player just going to completely psychopath.
Just doing whatever they want. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, D&D just kind of was like a natural progression. It was like, oh, I play WoW. Well, I'm playing more RPGs, and I kind of got Dragon Age and Skyrim and stuff like that.
I was going to say, I feel like that's what RuneScape was for me.
I played a lot of OSRS. Yeah.
Because the whole point of RuneScape is you're following the storyline, and it's the whole thing is just all these different stories that happen in this one little world.
Yeah. I have a very like manic brain too. So it's like it's always thinking about stuff, which is why I sleep like 3 hours a day. It's great. It's really healthy for me.
Super healthy.
But so my manic brain likes to create a lot, and that's just kind of what naturally put me into
We make up for it with alcohol. So.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I just drink enough that I just go to bed. That's really good. I'm living a healthy lifestyle. I'm sorry, Mom. But no, I don't know. Like it just was like really natural for me just to, everything kind of happened at once. It was just like, here's WoW, here's D&D, here's card games, like here's everything at once. And I just kind of like grabbed onto all of it, like nerd culture when I was young.
And like D&D is nice because you just need a piece of paper and a die to play. You don't need the expense. Well, like because a lot of people for like video games and stuff, like buying the computer is
it's costly.
Yeah. Or like buying the PS5 for $700 because some fucking scalpers.
But not everyone needs a copy.
Yeah.
No.
And especially with 5e,
a lot of it's online now.
I think this is the first time they put out the basic rules, the basic player guide. I forget what they should call it. These basic rules. It's free.
Yeah.
You can have enough to get started as a player.
Yeah.
And get enough like racial stats and class stats.
Yeah, like on that website that doesn't sponsor us, you can build a basic character out of the player's handbook and not have to spend any money.
Even without the website, obviously talking about D&D Beyond, but like even without them, you can download from Wizards of the Coast, from the actual publishers of the game, for free the basic rule set.
Yeah.
And have a zero cost bar of entry.
Yeah.
Which you'll find any other game other than like Tic-Tac-Toe that has that. No, zero cost entry.
Yeah, it's anything like, that you're playing on paper pretty much, and you can use like your imagination.
The fact that I just spent $200 on books is on me.
Yeah, that's on you. You didn't have to.
But
do
listen,
that,
I didn't have to at all. I'm probably not even going to read them.
A library is a beautiful thing.
I remember going to a library and finding 3.5 books.
Nice.
And when I started playing 5e, I'm like, oh, why is there no psionicist anymore?
Definitely not dating yourself.
It's not because they were broken as fuck.
They don't need that. Only a little broken. If you play them broken.
Super fucking broken.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like D&D.
I was an Animorphs kid at the library.
Oh, God.
They were
books.
so good. Shut your whore mouth.
They're terrible.
No, they were well-written books.
If you besmirch Animorphs.
The cover art always scared me.
That's okay. That's because you're a chicken. But the books were delightful.
That was probably one of the Animorph books, too.
Yeah. I'm picturing Jack morphing into a chicken.
Yeah, that would be definitely my spirit animal. Yeah.
I want to watch Jeff Bezos morph into a worm and then get yeeted into space.
He's already in space as of this morning.
He did it, and he's back, and he was like, it was a pleasurable experience, and I like to thank
this show on July 20th, 2021.
I want to thank everyone that shops at Amazon because you guys paid for this.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm going to skin you alive, you stupid lizard man.
I still do it. But yeah, I think a lot of like things for people for D&D, like D&D for a lot of people wasn't like your first game. Like things brought you into D&D, I've noticed over the years.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot of like, like Magic the Gathering or, playing like Warcraft like I did, or like getting more in like board games and stuff like that. That's kind of what like brought a lot of people into D&D.
So you don't think it's a gateway game?
It's not that I don't think it's a gateway game, but
it's a gateway game if you have somebody else that was already into D&D.
Yeah, I've brought people into D&D that like that would be their first thing doing it, but like I've never noticed anyone who like doesn't have any friends who like play video games and their first thing is like, I want to play D&D. Usually it's like something else is bringing you into that.
You can play video games without friends.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
Like, you can play on like Discord or something like that, but even then you need some sort of social.
Yeah. But I just feel like
it's no fun to be the DM and the only player character.
D&D, honestly, it gets kind of tougher when you get older too.
That's just pretending.
Yeah, that's why you're just playing make believe with yourself, like rolling dice. You're writing a story, using the D&D stuff to help you write the story.
As much as I think like Stranger Things brought in like a big wave of people that didn't care as much about the game, they just thought it was like a fad kind of thing. It's nice because like the older you get, the harder it gets to play, just because you get busy and like life gets in the way, and like
that's why some people have children.
Yeah,
like my friend
super
Alex.
Hard to even have a podcast about D&D because of people's adult schedules.
Sunk it.
Yeah. Oh my God, I have things I got to do. I have a job that I tolerate.
Yeah, but it's nice seeing like more people get in the game and like carrying on the legacy that is D&D. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all. It's I wanted to just figure out how you guys got here. Like, we all met I met you through the podcast, but I met you, and then Justin was.
You met me through the beer podcast.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like
Oh my God, Jason, wait, how do I know you?
I met you at a New Year's Eve party, so like friends of friends.
Yeah,
I thought I'd known you before though, because
I think that's the first time I met you.
Was that at the party where Tyler and Joe were playing in the basement?
Yeah. Classic Tyler and Joe.
So that's where I met Mike Tarzia and
Okay, yeah. I thought I knew you longer than that.
No, I think that's the first time I ever ran into you.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've met some of my best friends through like friends of friends or through like, I mean, video games are like, that's some of my
Time is
best
an
friends.
illusion.
Friends of friends, and you just find someone you like better than that friend, and you two just keep each other.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, all the time.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of internet friends from
it's
back in the day when I played Second
super
Life.
common, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, some of my closest friends are the ones I talk to the most are in like California and Oregon and stuff. And we play
Mhm.
WoW together, and that's like usually that's what I kind of like about the world.
Yeah,
of,
my,
like,
my current gaming group is a kid from Texas, 2 kids from Maryland, a kid from West Canada, a kid from East Canada, and a kid from England.
all over the place.
And like, you know, in gaming, especially now,
Yeah, try getting that group together at your house.
I'm not going to. Gaming like in the 80s and like, you know, early console games was a very like, you know, just put your kid in the other room and have it be quiet for a couple hours kind of thing. But gaming now like is so much more social than it's ever been.
Yeah, you can make a whole career out of having people watch you play video games.
sure.
It's great.
And I think like, you know, the idea of having like a Discord group playing games together, even video games, we're kind of conditioned to accept that we need friends to play games. And that might be another reason why D&D is so huge right now.
Especially with the pandemic and everything where you couldn't see people in real, like,
Games
I was
skyrocketed
Yeah.
during the pandemic.
I was a person that, like, in growing up, I didn't have too many real life friends because I was the weird kid,
I don't buy
and
it.
I would like beat people up for being mean to me. My mom used to get calls from the office, be like, "Hello, it's the vice principal here. I'm here with Josey, and I just want you to know that no one has been hurt."
That's good.
That was the phone call she would get. So, like, for me to be able to talk to people on the internet, especially again during the pandemic when you weren't allowed to see people, like, that's what kept me sane. Like a lot of people lost their whole social net. I just went back to my internet friends, was like, "Yo, you guys okay?
Yeah.
You good? You want to be a cowboy?"
Yeah, that was a big thing too. It's like a lot of people lost that social network through like work and going out to the bars and things like that. But like, I found mine was stronger because then it was like, I guess we're all home, so I guess I'm going to hang out with people that I can play virtually with.
We play Jackbox games like every day for hours.
Yeah.
Well, I would just play games for 12 hours a day and talk to people.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
I would watch, like, my best friend had moved in here at the time because like her childhood home was being sold or whatever. So I did have like a real life person that had to deal with me and get all of my attention because I needed to give it to somebody that wasn't just my guinea pig.
That poor woman.
She's okay. She's doing great. Hello, Katie. But
Oh, Katie. Oh, yeah.
yeah, Katie, my
Katie.
beautiful blue-haired babe.
Yep. What's up, babe?
She's doing great. I hope you're listening, boo thang, because I keep telling you to.
Call me.
Yeah, give us a call. Come on the podcast. Get Gwegowy here. We could talk about fun things. But like, I don't know, D&D, I think, is a great kind of low commitment way to still be able to talk to your friends, especially with the advent of things like Discord, where you can keep in contact with people from
And
all
Zoom.
over the place.
Yeah,
Zoom
Zoom
taking
was
off
big,
during the
yeah.
pandemic
Oh,
was
God, Zoom.
we actually only play on Zoom.
Yeah.
We are just now, like within the past week, doing IRL
In
games
person,
again.
Yeah.
And even then, we're kind of like, last week is like, no, we play kind of late.
It's like, oh yeah, everybody's here and together, but everybody's still on their laptop.
We play kind of late. Like we don't meet till like 9:00. And my girlfriend works in the post office like 4:00 in the morning. So like, I don't want to be on my computer 2 feet away from her, you know, trying to role play and trying to keep things quiet.
Yeah, it's not fun to role play quiet.
It's hard to do voices when you're doing like this.
Yeah.
And you roll
How
20.
you
got that,
gonna
yeah.
role play when you got to be quiet?
I hate that.
So last week I just went over to the
That's
DM's
correct.
house and just played IRL there, and like everyone else is on Zoom. There's like 3 of us in the room, 3 of us not in the room.
Yeah.
But I think we might be all together tonight. But
It's much easier for certain if there's like a healthy mix of like online and in person, because I've tried a couple times where just like one person couldn't make it, so they would like
get one person
Zoom
remote
in.
yeah.
But the problem with that is that because they're not there in person, but everybody else is, like, they got talked over a lot.
course.
Yeah,
Of
left
course.
out a lot. Yeah.
This one was 50-50. There are 3 of us in one room and
Yeah.
3 of
50-50
us
is
not
a
in the
lot
room.
easier than 90-10.
2 of us, 2 of us not in the room.
Yeah.
One player couldn't make it that night. But yeah, it's the technology, especially during the pandemic, has been just fantastic and making the game super accessible.
God
Yeah.
bless the internet.
Zoom can be free.
Yeah.
You might have to reset your room every 40 minutes,
But
it can be free.
Yeah.
So what I want to ask you guys before we wrap this thing up, I want to ask some of your preferences on the game itself and get your play style. Jack, do you prefer to DM or to play?
I'd much rather DM.
Much rather DM.
Like, it's not even close for me.
Okay. Now, your DM style, do you like things a little bit more rules as written?
No, because I think
rules-
that defeats the purpose of the game. Like,
Okay.
the game was made, yes, there are rules for it, but the game was made to, like...
It's like Pirates Code. They're more like guidelines.
Yeah,
Yep.
experience something you... Like fantasy. Like
1000%
something you'd never
agree.
be able to experience before. And if you just, like, rule block people all the time, like, it's going to ruin the game. So for me, it's like, yes, there are guidelines you kind of stick to. Like, you can't just magically fly. Like, there are things you kind of stick to.
Sure.
But I'd much rather would someone be like, hey... I kind of homebrew this thing. What do you think? Like, I like people bringing me stuff like that makes it more unique for them than to be like, hey, because I've never once run a campaign out of a book. Every campaign I've done, I've probably at this point, honestly, in my life, done well over, 150 campaigns
Wow,
with
okay.
one-offs and, even just sessions alone, like a couple hundred sessions. But I've never, ever run a session out of my book, like out of a book. It's always just been like, hey, I created this, or hey, someone wants it would be cool if we're in this setting. And I just made something for them.
Now, do you prefer a little more high fantasy, a little more serious campaigns, or do you like when things go a little
Like,
a
do you
little
want a
off the
T-Rex
wall?
eating the arm?
Yeah.
Not even like that much, but do you like a little bit of shenanigans?
I think it's good when you get a mix of both. I think that's why I like to surround myself with people who are kind of serious about the game, but loose. And people who are like, I just kind of want to just experience it how I want to experience it. Because then you get the cool dichotomy of characters where it's someone's like, I'm going to go do this. And well, maybe don't do that. And that's when you start getting character progression. So I like having a good, healthy mix of both.
I love when campaigns are when a player will just throw out something that's funny,
Yeah.
and it ends up being canon.
Yeah, 100%.
And again,
That sounds a lot, honestly, not to keep plugging another podcast, but that sounds just like Dungeons and Daddies.
I was gonna
where
say
it's
Nat
just
Pod.
it's just like they drove a van into the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah. NADPOD, there was an episode where they were in a shop, and the one player, the whole joke was he never ate.
Oh my God. They dropped a bag of magic beans.
So they went into a shop and bought him Hungry Man dinners.
Nice.
And then later there was a cooking battle
Incredible.
where they used the Hungry Man dinners.
Nice.
And
They were like, here it is.
it became part of it.
canon
So
now.
all the shenanigans that they brought up became part of the joke, and it became
I'm
part of the
pretty
show.
sure in one of my campaigns, Hamburger Helper is a thing in the Forgotten Realms.
And I was just I like
I'm having a
DMing.
little trouble getting my DM to accept my shenanigans, and I just keep trying until he accepts them.
Yeah.
He doesn't do female voices great at all, so he'll just not do them.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, Ray, you okay? And I'll just be like, I hand her a lozenge. And and he'll laugh
Incredible.
about it, but it won't be part of the. It won't be a part
Yeah,
of the
I gotcha.
story. So I'm throwing shenanigans at him until he accepts shenanigans. I don't know if the other players are into shenanigans.
You'll
But
find
I
out.
love
They'll figure it out.
a 30% shenanigans game.
That's a good mix.
I think it's a good mix.
A 30-70.
I'm very into a campy campaign.
Yeah.
I think serious moments when you're fighting and stuff are okay, but if you're all sitting in the tavern shooting the shit, why do you have to be serious and be sitting there okay, so here's the game plan? I'm gonna be
Right.
no.
It's not fun.
I'm gonna have another beer
Right.
and hit on the bard that's playing
I'm
the
going to get in a
lute.
drinking contest with the Goliath.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right. Josey, have you DM'd before?
I've never actually DM'd before.
Okay.
I don't know
Is
if
that
I
something
would.
you're interested in?
I don't know. I think it would be fun to be the DM, but I think I would actually rather build, do the story building, write the story for the DM to play. Because, I don't like reading my own writing. I won't, read out loud to you a story I've written, but if somebody else reads it and then everybody else gets to play along to it, I'm cool with that. So I like being a player and I like being the ghostwriter.
Okay.
I don't necessarily like being the head bitch in charge just because my favorite thing to do is challenge authority.
Sure.
It's fun. You should try it sometime. Not the challenging authority, but the being the HBIC.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it a go. I just need I need to peruse the Dungeon Master's Guide.
I think
You can peruse me. Oh, the guide. Oh, the guide. I thought it was the Dungeon Master guy.
I'll peruse you too. Don't worry.
Jason, we'll peruse you too.
nice.
Do a little column A, little column B,
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
in some column C.
A little perusing.
Oh, stay out of my column C.
Yeah, don't.
No.
Actually,
Listen,
say my column B.
we've got ticklers for that.
No,
Gross.
thank you.
I think
Don't be scared, boys. That's where your G spot is.
so. I think I know the answer to this, but what's your favorite race or class to play?
I don't really have a favorite race to play because I've done a couple different ones. I've done elf, I've done half orc. I think I've done a dragonborn and a tiefling, but my favorite class is bard. Just because there's spells, but not too many spells, and I can still use weapons. But again, I feel like bards are a class that are much more role play heavy than they are melee heavy. And again, if I want to be a murder hobo, I'm just going to go play Skyrim.
Yeah, get your motor hobo out of the way before you play D&D.
If you want to be a murder hobo, go do the Companion's Quest in Skyrim and go be a werewolf and eat all the storm cloaks. That's what I do.
Go play Grand Theft Auto. It's way more fun.
Yeah, you can murder anything.
Actually,
really,
way more fun
than
than murder hobo.
No. Play Red Dead Redemption. Fuck Grand Theft Auto. It's Grand Theft Auto, but you're a cowboy and your car's a horse.
Or play Dead by Daylight, where that's the point of the game.
No, too spooky. No spooks.
I can't play the Silent Hill games.
can't
The
do
ones
spooky.
that are like, hey, we psychologically profile you while you play.
I can't do spooky
I went
games.
into one goddamn basement and like it was the first 45 seconds of the game where it's like, go in the basement, and I heard a sound and I ran to the other side of the map.
Yeah, I'm good.
And I was like, here, this is your game. This could be for you.
You've never DM'd either, right?
I had not DM'd. It is something that I would like to do. I want to get a couple campaigns under my belt first.
Oops, all DMs.
Yeah.
I could definitely see myself enjoying DMing because I kind of had a tendency to turn myself into the HBIC, even if nobody asked me to.
Yeah.
If you like playing fast and loose with the rules,
which I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd make a fun DM. Be like, fuck it. You know what? I don't care
I
if that's
would
what's in
love
the
to
book.
run,
It'll
like-
make a good story.
I would love to run like a quasi-cartoonish, very shenanigan-heavy campaign and just have fun with it. The couple of characters that I have played so far, I'm playing a half-elf rogue right now who's fun. I gave him some fun feats with like sharpshooter and ranged weapon fighting, so I get some like really broken arrow stuff.
Yeah,
he's also he's a Tasha's Beastmaster, so like Tasha's beasts are awesome. We need my dog Kirby.
Nice,
and he's been fucking great so far. He's my best weapon.
Yeah,
but like I was waiting till I can get to the level where he can run the help action. So I can have my beast run a help action to give me advantage on attack throws. So I can use sharpshooters and try to get over that -5.
Not broken.
And just do 10 extra damage and just ridiculous stuff. Yeah. That's been a lot of fun. Roleplay wise, hasn't really done a lot. I took some time to flesh out the backstory, but just like it hasn't come up yet. So maybe that'll be more fun down the line. My previous campaign, I was running a halfling cleric, which might be my favorite racing class so far.
Oh,
I didn't know
cleric.
enough to like really pick my subclass great, but I would love to play a Twilight Cleric and just like do a lot of like party buffs. I've always liked playing like support characters and not just like healer support.
Yeah,
I want to buff your attacks. I want to buff your defenses.
You want to play the bagpipes in Monster Hunter?
Yeah. But I got a couple really cool ideas for a character. I like when the character idea is fun. When the character itself comes from a fun idea, then it doesn't matter what it is. I was telling you guys before, I'm working on, I would just love to find a campaign where this fits, where you have like an anachronistic from this plane of existence, like 10-year-old boy who got like, went downstairs for dinner and finds himself in the Feywild, and give him like wild magic sorcerer.
That's fun.
And just have like his spell, like he doesn't know how to control his spells.
So
and
just
weird
whatever
shit happens.
casts. Yeah.
And he's just like scared and confused. And he's like, why are there elves? And how did I just cast this lightning bolt? And why is there a unicorn?
That'd be fun.
So I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'm kind of working on that one. I'm waiting for a campaign to stick into first. But
there you go.
So Jack, if you want to make something up,
let me just get right on that.
Would love to play that.
Yeah, all that free time I got.
But we have a couple ideas on some campaigns for Jack to run on this podcast.
That's me.
Which I cannot wait for.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
So I would honestly rather you just
Jack, are you ready?
Well, we talked about a few of them.
Yeah. So once we have details on that, we'll start announcing that. But
I'm ready for it.
There is some fun things coming.
I have one of them planned already.
Nice.
Like one of them, with the day that we talked about, I planned one of them. So we're ready to go.
Nice.
Can't wait.
That was it, man. I just want
Yeah.
I like figuring out how people got in the game and like getting a little backstory. And it's always nice hearing, like I said, for the most part, it's always like a game got you into the game, but it's always nice seeing where it comes from. Like for me, it was an RPG. For you, it was like, being creative. And for you, it was a trading card game. Like it's all different sources, which I find kind of interesting, but they all lead you back to one place.
Yeah.
And that's this goddamn table rolling dice.
This dang table right here.
Gosh dang.
We spend a lot of time on our characters' backstories. We don't talk about a lot about the players' backstories.
No, so it was nice to get a little episode about that.
Well, to be fair, in the context of the game, I'm not important.
Yeah, that's
just
fair.
My character.
True.
It's your character.
But as far as like the podcast goes, and and just us as friends, who's like Jack, I just met you back in like October.
Yeah,
right after your brewery opened.
We're already best
and Josey, I've known you for a few years, but you two didn't know each other until I dragged you two on the podcast. So let's
Nailed it.
It's important to
Friends forever.
It's important to know your fellow players.
No, it's neat.
know?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like everyone got brought together, everything.
Yeah.
I was like learning about that. But yeah, that was it. Just like, wrapping it up. Just, as always, check us out on our website, our Instagram. Come hang out with us. Shoot us an email at curmudgeonsanddragons@gmail.com.
If you want to be on the podcast.
It's curmudgeonsanddragonspodcast@gmail.com.
Curmudgeons and Dragons Pod
Oh,
at
we didn't have- we
gmail.com.
couldn't
We're just a
cast.
pod,
But
not a cast.
you can find
no cast,
the email and the Instagram and everything else that you need to know is all on curmudgeonsanddragons.com.
Yeah, make Jason do this
which
stuff.
I just redid. So it's just a landing page. But
I actually wanna look at it.
curmudgeonsanddragons.com. Shoot us an email. Tell us what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah, do that.
And if you, we would love to have you on the show if you have your own D&D podcast.
Come talk to us.
We're trying to do some crossover episodes.
I am so lonely.
Super bonus points if you're on NADPOD or Bombarded.
Super boner points.
What?
Super boner points.
I thought
Oh, I did.
What?
I spelled curmudgeons and dragons wrong.
CURMUDGEONS.
I double-clicked the R in dragons.
There you go.
No, it's not
Stupid bitch.
curmudgeons.
Just the worst.
Take us out, Jack.
Yeah, it was
Terrible.
fun. So I was Jack, had a great time. Weird being behind the driver's seat. And we had Jason with us.
Hey.
And we had Josey with us.
Hello,
There
that's
she
me.
is. Yeah,
Hello,
making a face.
Goodbye,
sorry.
Josey. Say
Yeah,
goodbye.
goodbye. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye forever. The eternal sleep.
So long.
Well, that's enough of that.
Goodbye.
I'm just going to press stop now.
That's probably smart. Well, it was a pleasure seeing all of you. Check us out on all of our social platforms and our website and email. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Love you all.
Okay, love you. Bye.
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 This has been a JTP Audio podcast. Thanks for listening.